Thanks for joining yet another episode of Get Set with Lissette. This is where we have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set. No guests today, by myself. And what I wanted to do is a little recap as to where I've been thus far and the journey that this podcast is taking me on. So at this point, I've had several episodes drop, and the conversations that I've had, as much as I'm excited for what's coming and I'm excited for the conversations that I'm having, I don't know if I was prepared for how much those conversations would actually truly do what I've said I wanted. They're inspiring me. They're inspiring me to think a little harder, feel a little deeper, believe a little more. And as I've said from the beginning, I'm looking to be as vulnerable as possible with you guys. So vulnerable that the hair is up, okay? The hair is up because I actually just finished an amazing conversation that I can't wait for you to see, but it got me sweating, it got me excited, and I still wanted to sit here and have a conversation with you all. So this is what you get. I want to put myself in position, as I've said, to create community. And in order to create genuine community and genuine connections, I need you to understand where I am in this journey as well. And so I wanted to do a quick touch-in. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. Winston Churchill. That's a quote. That's going to be our quote of the day. And the reason for that is because today I want to talk about change specifically. It's a broad topic. There are many different avenues that one can discuss when it comes to change. However, there is no action, no movement until change begins to occur. So as I've done in the past, when it comes to discussing about a particular topic, I want to first explore it, and let me give you that definition. So Merriam-Webster says that the word change means to make different in some particular, to make radically different, to give a different position, course, or direction to replace with another, to make a shift from one to another, to undergo modification. So when I was preparing for this episode, I felt that it was important to discuss that right now. Because change is difficult. Nothing worth having is done easy. I believe it's Albert Einstein says that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So while I'm having these conversations with different individuals, while I'm being inspired myself, I've also come to realize that where I am and who I am today is very different than who I was yesterday. And who that woman was is also very different from years prior. And it's within change, necessary change, that the new things occur. And so I thought about these conversations. I thought about the change that was needed for individuals that were discussing business ventures and the fact that life had changed to them, right? But in order to make understanding of that, a shift had to happen, and that change that happened to them in their lives created a power and an opportunity for them to take action and move out of what was going on and into something greater. I've had conversations with new mothers, and they talked about how different and how their lives changed when they became moms, and the fact that what they were the day prior to those children arriving was completely different. And yet, years later, their lives were changed for the better, and the amount of love and support and happiness that they felt from being moms now was phenomenal. I've had conversations with women who have had horrible things happen to them, life-altering events. And again, they allowed themselves to change for the better in spite of, and also in the midst of what was going on. So I wanted to explore that concept. Because again, if we're going to have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set, then you have to make at some point a decision to get set and or change. And change comes mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationships. I mean, every aspect of your life, at some point, a change needs to occur in order for you to be able to get to fill in the blank. So for example, if you want to improve what is going on physically, typically one will change their eating habits. They'll change their physical routines or what it is that they were doing from one to the other. They might even change their sleeping schedules. But that modification, that change, puts them in a position to improve, to move the needle forward. So the same happens when it comes to that mental change. At some point, we have to make a decision to sit with ourselves and to begin to think, what am I doing today? What is it about me? What is it about my personality? What is it about my day-to-day life? What is it about whatever it is that I have going on? And where do I need to make a shift, that change? And then you have to plan on what actions are you going to take that are going to make those changes occur. So I'm going to actually start discussing different points of my life where I made a decision, and I'm going to discuss what was and what is today, and then also where I hope to go. Because life is fluid. The present is a gift. I just finished having a conversation with someone who discussed how much they are enjoying and the happiness and the fulfillment that day-to-day brings. And the fact that mindsets had to change in order to start to look in that manner. So story time. 2020 was a crazy year for a lot of people. COVID shut everything down. There were a lot of things that just stopped and we couldn't do much. It was in that year that I decided to make a change in career ventures. Not only did I make a change in career ventures, I also started to do two-a-days, and I was working out. Crazy. We're going to get there. You guys are going to watch my change as I go back to that. I also decided to change my mindset on how I had been brought up, right? So I'm a Latina Puerto Rican woman who comes from two Puerto Rican parents from Puerto Rico that for every generation, if I look back, a change happened that shifted and moved the needle forward. So when I talk to my mom, we've had a lot of conversations in the past. My mother comes from, both of my parents, honestly, they come from humble beginnings. They discuss what it was like to walk miles just to get to school. They talk about, protecting and having to at times walk barefoot to protect the one good pair of shoes that they've had. They discuss how life was on the island. And for my mother, my grandfather decided to make a change and moved his entire family to Philadelphia when my mother was going into the 6th grade, so probably around 11, 12 years of age. And so for my grandfather, when he got here, foreign to this country, foreign to the language, foreign to a lot of things, and he just worked and worked and worked because what was important to him was that they survived. What was important at that point was survival. And my mother explains to me that at one point they had asked for assistance or they needed some help while they got, set bearings or whatever the case is. And he hated the feeling of needing help. And he remembers, and he used to speak about, when you guys get older, speaking to my mother and all of her 8 other siblings, when you guys get older, own your own home and never take out debt and make sure that you have enough funds to take care of things and never need for anyone. He enforced and pushed into them the importance of stability. So they shifted and they changed their mindsets from just survival to stability. So when I grew up, and myself and my sister, and we grew up in our family, stability was the focus. Get an education, go to college, something that was, again, different. I was one of the first in my family to graduate. And that change was important because all they wanted for me was, again, the best that they knew. And so they really focused on stability as the importance. And they created an amazing, stable life for me. And so here I was during COVID, and I was contracted with a state agency, and I had a 9-to-5, and I was, I had worked a lot of stable positions. And as I've shared with you guys already, I've had an amazing career. And something in me shifted. A change needed to happen. I made a decision to go from stability to freedom. And so I put a lot of effort and energy into finding opportunities to create freedom for myself, financial freedom, the ability to think greater, to think bigger. And I made a promise to my mother, and I explained to her the importance of that evolution and the fact that change was inevitable. It's the only thing that you cannot control. It's always going to happen. If you cannot be assured of anything, you can be assured that something at some point in your life is going to change. The difference is whether you decide on allowing change to happen to you or for you. And so at that point, I decided to change my mindset and really pour into myself on ways to become free. I was looking for financial freedom. I was looking for the ability to create, this is a buzzword, but generational wealth, opportunities for things to grow. And in order to do so, there were several things in my life that I needed to change. Mindset was first. The second was financial. I needed to take control of my finances. I needed to be clear on what I was spending money on, what were essential, what was not. I took active change and active action towards investing. And I looked at where I wanted to go towards and what I needed to put into place in order to do so. I made a decision to change. Another was physical. I decided that I needed to take control of myself and I needed to control my body. Health is wealth. So I cut out meats. I ensured that I was eating more healthy, I'll say. I was, like I said, I had been working out. I was putting myself in a position to also not only get better physically, but when you feel better, you also do better and you can move. So that shift also happened. And another change that needed to occur was relationships. This is something that at times is very difficult. Probably one of the hardest changes that one needs to do. But there's a quote, and I don't know this quote, so I'm not going to misquote it, but I know that there's this idea, birds of a feather flock together. And also, I remember my mom telling me, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And so if I wanted to be financially free, I needed to make a decision to change some relationships. I tend to believe, I'll say, that people are innately good. And I don't believe that people typically want bad to occur all the time. Every circumstance is different. And let's be real, there are some people out there that it just is what it is. And if those are the kind of relationships you have, then those are the first changes that need to be made. However, people can come into your life for reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. And you need to be to take inventory and be very clear on where you're looking to go and make the necessary changes when it comes to relationships as well. Because not everyone is going to understand your vision. Not everyone is going to understand where you're destined to go to. And it's not for them to understand it. It's for you and your higher power. For me, it's God. I'm a faith-loving woman, and I do believe that God is who guides me through a lot of things. So I needed to make the decision on making those changes necessary when it came to relationships as well. And then the final change was that spiritual. I needed to go deep within and start to do work, because I was not going to get to where I wanted to get to. And I'm not going to go the places that I want to go to until I sit down and make the changes in my own life so that I can be in a position to have these conversations and create the platform that I'm trying to create, but coming from a place of truth and of experience. So why am I saying all of this? I'm saying it now because as I've said, if I'm going to continue to have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set, you have to get set for change. It's inevitable, as I've said, but take the power and start really writing down every aspect of your life and what changes can you control and at what point do they need to be made. Because if you do not make those decisions now, then at some point life is going to make it for you, or you will become stagnant. And stagnancy and inaction create anger and frustration and an inability to live in your fullest potential. So as this journey continues and as we continue to have those conversations with other people, if you're one of those people who want to begin to think bigger, to believe greater, to expand your ideas and your horizons on what can be accomplished and where you hope to go and what you want to see and do, then you need to make a decision to change. It's not for me to say what that change is. It's not for me to tell you at what point you have to. But I do want to be the person to tell you that it's inevitable and it's needed. I've shared many times, my favorite quote is, "Be the change I hope to see in the world." Mahatma Gandhi. In order for me to be the change I hope to see in the world, I have to be willing to change myself. To be in the places and spaces and mindsets that I need to be for whatever it is that I'm focused on at that time and for what I'm looking to do. So let's stick with the relationships change. I am team no new friends. That is how I've always been. The friendships that I've had in my life, and I used to take pride in, they were 20 plus childhood friendships that I held on to dearly. And I still carry a lot of those relationships, but I've also had to let go of a few of them. I had to make the realization that change needed to happen because I was in a point in my life where I was ready to move on to the next level. And as I said, some people are not meant to go on that journey with you. Some people are there for a particular season in your life. But if you continue to try and drag others with you, it will take you longer to get to where you have to go because you have to envision it as having dead weight carried with you. It's easier to walk up a mountain or up a hill when you don't have a lot of weight on you. You have to envision if there's people in your life that are not at a point where they're ready to take action or to change, and you are, at some point those decisions have to be made, because if not, you're carrying that weight and it's only going to drag you down. It's going to put you in a position to make it harder. And that was where I found myself. So I had to open up this no new friends concept and say yes to new friendships and to new relationships. because I also understood that if I wanted to elevate, then I needed to surround myself with people who were already where I wanted to be, right? People that inspired me to become and to do different things. And I couldn't do that surrounding myself in the same places. When a person, will say it like this, coming from my background in social work and the things that I've always talked about, I worked in maternal addictions. And when a person is looking to get sober, the first thing that we talk about are the things that need to change. People, places, and things. If you're looking to live a sober life, you can't keep going to the same places, you can't keep doing the same things, and you can't keep being around the same people. That is understood when you're looking to maintain sobriety. But how many times do we refuse to look at that as truth when we're trying to move forward? At some point, you need to start to look within and then again, look at what's surrounding you and make those modifications. When it comes to mindset change, there are ways to make those changes, like starting to pray or meditate, reading about inspiring people. So if you don't have the people in your life, then find the books, find the inspiration from somewhere else. Start to find and fill yourself with words of affirmation, with opportunities of different ways of viewing the world, at filling yourself with knowledge and input about how to make the change that you need mentally so that you can start to make change in the real world. Pour into yourself. There's so many books, and I'll give like my top 3 books in the description. One in particular, which is where all of this has come from, is a book that I read called Worthy. And so in the book, it's specifically, it's for everybody, but it does favor, I believe, women more than anything, because the conversations are about, the not feeling worthy enough, or the where it comes from, where you don't believe that you have that imposter syndrome and you don't feel like you're in a position where you can do certain things, or that you should be in certain things, or if good things happen, it's by coincidence rather than design. And, those negative talk that we say to ourselves. So you have to learn how to start to fill yourself with more positive affirmations and positive information. And then you also have to change how you speak out so that you're coming from a place of positivity and starting to affirm yourself so that you speak those changes into fruition. And then I personally also believe, and this will be the last change that I feel is necessary but also imperative, is spiritual. Find time to sit with yourself. Find time to, as I said, pray or meditate. I grew up I had to also change my viewpoint when it came to spiritual. I grew up in the church, and I come from, places and spaces where, service started at 11:30. I wasn't getting home until like 5 o'clock in the evening. It was very indoctrinated. It was very much, the doing good, the this, the that, religion and things of that nature can at times prevent growth and opportunity. So when it comes to the spiritual aspect, I believe in relationship. And so I was focused and I was also changing in that, because I realized at some point that I had a lot of anger about things that had happened in my life. And I had a lot of resentment about things I had gone through. And I needed to change my relationship with God. And I needed to lean on what I know to be true, and that God is love, and that He's a God of forgiveness and faith and grace, But this is not a platform for that, so I won't speak on it too much, but I would be remiss and I would not be honest if I did not share my faith and the fact that change and shift in relationship also helped me heal and grow and build my own personal belief in self and in worthiness and in what I knew to be true. So why am I saying all of this? I'm saying this because I believe with every fiber of my being that in order for evolution to happen, change is necessary. I mean, that's just a scientific fact, right? So make that decision. Choose to take action. Break it down. As I said, you don't have to do all things at every given point, but you do have to make a decision to change. So as we talked about it, and we'll talk about them again. Mental. Start to pour positive into your life. Speak nicer to yourself. Think positive thoughts. Choose to see the good rather than the negative. Small little modifications like that can have huge impacts on how you view the world, how life is perceived, how you feel about yourself, and therefore what comes next. Physical. I've had so many ups and downs when it comes to physical change. As I said, in 2020, 2-a-days, changed my entire diet, did everything at the time that was right. I was juicing, and life be lifing. I fell off. We all have those moments, and yet I choose to change again and again and again. And I hope that we together see the modification on what happens when we choose to do more when it comes to the physical. But again, make one small change and see how it can impact you, whether that's drinking water more, changing diet, being a little bit more physical. Small changes can have great impact. Financial. Choosing to take action when it comes to your finances is imperative. Sit down and look at where your money is going. Take time and create a budget for yourself. Get to a point where you choose to start to invest. Make changes on whether it's career ventures or professions. Do whatever it's necessary. There's so many different changes that you can start to make, whether it's just $5 of savings or doing the 52-week challenge where you start to just save money between 1 to 52 throughout the 52 weeks of a year. Like, find ways that you can handle and make small changes, because again, one change can have a lasting impact and you'll just continue to grow. Relationships. As I said, I am team no new friends. But who you have around you can have a lasting impact on where you go. So be mindful of the people and the company you keep. Set healthy boundaries. Another book, and it'll be in the description, forgiving, learning to forgive, whether it's family or other individuals that have hurt you or you name it. I had to learn that I had to learn that no is a complete sentence in and of itself, and that it is okay to set boundaries when it comes to people in my life. I also had to learn that just because people are family doesn't mean that they have to have an active participation in my life, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they need to be in it. These are real truths and changes that I made that I'm sharing so that you start to look at things from a different light and you start to do and take action in where you need to go. Spiritually, sit down with self. Pray. Be quiet. Don't just Stay quiet and calm in a nice, secluded space. Journal. Maybe go to a place of worship, whatever, decisions you decide to make in that one. Listen to either meditation music or, again, I'm of Christian faith, so Christian music. Find ways to start to make changes when it comes to that so that, again, you continue to move forward. It doesn't matter where you start, just take action. All I wanted to do today was explain the importance of change. Because if you want to get set in anything in life, you have to, A, make that decision that you're going to get set. B, decide how you're going to get set. And C, you have to change. This is coming from a woman who's still going through her journey herself. Lord knows I'm not done. But where I am today is much, much further than where I was yesterday. And where I hope to go is beyond my own imagination. I hope that I just continue to elevate and grow. And when I look at myself 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that I'm almost surprised at the me today. I just wanted to sprinkle some light and some love. I want to encourage you to take action and change. And I want to make sure that we start making positive decisions. So we always do key takeaways. So let's talk about those. Takeaway 1. You have to make a decision to change in order for things to move forward. Takeaway 2. It doesn't matter how small or almost insignificant one might feel the change that they decide to make is. Small steps lead to great lengths. So just start. And takeaway 3 is just going to be my quote, which is, be the change you hope to see in the world. So this was just a quick little snippet, a little bit of light, hopefully some words of encouragement. Let's continue this journey together. I am beyond excited for what's to come next. I'm excited for you to continue this journey with me because we have some amazing conversations coming along the way. I hope that they inspire you. I hope that it resonates and that you get some things out of it. And if nothing else, starting today, make a decision to change. So sending light, sending love. Bye.